Umlen and Ablak Gemara, we are up to the Kuf Yud, learning all about Chal, and we learned about the heart, and we said that by Chal, the udder, that you should, before you, because the udder has milk sitting there in a cavity, so before you go ahead, you want to hash and all that, you should cut it open so that the milk can come out. But if you didn't, you're not over on it because the milk, halachically, from the Torah is not just the milk while still sitting in the udder. It's only once it's left the udder. So we had a machlekes. What happens if you didn't cut it open? And what happens then? So we had Rav, two versions in Rav. One version of Rav is that b'di'evid, you're not over. Not only b'di'evid, you're not over. You're even chatchil allowed to go ahead and eat it. If you chatchil, you're allowed to go and eat it. You know, with the ice, you're not over, and even with the rabbanim, you're allowed to eat it because the milk doesn't really. The milk that's sitting there is not milk at all, and it doesn't escape. It sort of sits there. And according to the, and not only that, and even if the milk did escape, it doesn't come back in. Especially if the milk never left in the first place. The other view of Rav is that no, that is still an Isa de Rabbanon. If you didn't cut it open, you shouldn't eat it lechatchila at all. Okay. And then we had Rab Nachman who holds up Chal's mutter. So let's do over here more of Kuf Yud Amud Aleph, 2 lines on the top of the page. So Kisalik Rabbi Loza. Rabbi Loza went to Eretz Yisrael. Remember Rabbi Loza, who was a favorite student of Rabbi Yechanan, he first learned in Bavel, and then he went to Eretz Yisrael. So when he came to Eretz Yisrael, he only heard the version of Rab, where Rab says that if you cooked it, you cooked the chal without, when you say cooking, by the way, Rashi says before, we could mean roasting. Because roasting seals it shut, it doesn't go out. Cooking might be different. Cooking, if you really cook it, it goes out and then it does come back in. So if you roast it. Anyway, if you roast the chal, the Rab says, even though it's only us as Rabbanan, he only heard the chumrah Rab. You shouldn't go ahead and eat it. So he asked the question, talking about if he didn't tear it open so the milk should come out. He found Zidi, who Chal is somebody here who actually taught Rav this chumrah of Chal, that if you didn't cut it open and you went ahead and you cooked it, but you roasted it, but it's still usher. Is there some who taught him that didn't? Actually, he showed him Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avadimi. He showed Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avadimi that he's the one who taught Rav. Amalei, so he went to visit Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avadimi. Tesa has an issue here. Who is Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avadimi? Because here it sounds like he was the Rebbe of Rav. Another place sounds like he was the Rebbe of Rava. Anyway, so Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avadimi. I never taught him the law of Chal. It's Rav who came up with the Chumrah on his own. Rav Bika Bar with Kuf Yud. We're talking about Chal. That Rabbi Loza only heard the second version of Rav, that if you didn't cut it open with the Yevid and you cooked it or roasted it, it's us, you shouldn't eat it. He said he made up his own Isser, and there was a good reason for it. And the Rebbe used to bring this sometimes. Rav Bika Matzah v'Godaba. He found a crack, and he decided that he has to be machmir totally to prevent this from getting worse. And what's the story? The Rav Ikla, the Tatlofer, she came to this place called Tatlofer. Shami heard like he's a woman. The Karl Chaber talking to a friend. Riva de Bisra Kama Chalva Boile V'Shuli. I have such an amount of, a certain amount of meat. How much milk do you think is a good recipe to mix with the meat? Pasha B'Cholov that didn't know. Even such simple, basic things they don't realize because the Torah said like Savashal, they didn't realize, and that you can't eat this and so on, or maybe they don't even know the Easter of cooking. So Akiv, he stood there. He said, you know what? He can't touch. He had to go now to the other extreme. Like we're looking at Shabbos, when the people didn't know the din, they went all the way to the extreme, and slowly they relaxed. So Rav came up with his own idea as a chumrah because he saw what was happening over there. Rav Kahana, this is Rav Kahana's version of the story that happened. However, Rabbi Yisrael bar Abba said, I did not, he said, I taught him. But I'll tell you what happened. I was teaching this halacha in front of Rab Chia. And he makes up a new din. If the mother is a nursing mother, where the udder is from, there's a lot of milk there. When there's a lot of milk, then if you didn't tear it, it's a problem if you cooked it because there's so much excessive amount of milk that it will go out and be reabsorbed. But a normal cow, that's not a milking cow, or it's not nurturing, not a nurturing cow, then it has a lot less milk in the udder. If it has a lot less milk in the udder, Um, then what do you call it? In fact, I was a zoo with my grandchildren last week, and they were telling us that the cows right now in Victoria have very little milk in their udders. I mean, I was trying to explain to me, which I didn't really understand why. So there are times, when you have excessive amounts of milk, you have very little milk, and then in those cases, it's totally mutter. That's what I was saying, but I didn't spell it out because I thought it was so obvious. And I knew Rabchia was so smart and so shrewd. I was really talking to Rabchia in front of Rav. So when I spoke to Rabchia, I knew he understood everything I said. So I didn't bother delineating all the details. But Rav just heard me say that that if you didn't cut it open, then b'diavad you cooked it and you shouldn't eat it. So he took it, literally. So as if to say that I've misunderstood what the halacha really is. Okay, but he introduced now a new thing here, according to this opinion, that if there's excessive amount of milk, then it's also b'diavad. If it's not excessive amount of mutter. Ravin, but Rabbi Chava Yeshvi included a puppy. Once came to the house of a puppy. I said, "Come out of Shulchan." They brought before them a gekecht of kal. They brought him an item that was of other cooked other. Rabbi Chava Yeshvi, Rabbi Chava Yeshvi ate, and the Ravin lo yachol. Ravin didn't eat. Amar Abai Rai said, "Ravin tichla." Ravin, the one who lost all of his children. Amai lo yachli. Why didn't you eat it? You were served by who? By none other. Mechti the visa de puppy. You were served here by the wife of Rapapi. Barte de Rabbi Chanafcha. She's a Rabbi Chanafcha. And Rabbi Chanafcha Mordu, Rabbi Chanafcha was so frum, and she was raised in such a frum house, you can rest assured that if she gave it to you, she knew exactly what she was doing. If you wouldn't have heard that in the family house, she wouldn't have given it to you. So why didn't you eat it? So we have different opinions there by chal, if you can eat chal the way it is, cooked or not.
He introduces.
There's a story behind it, and I forgot. I forgot what the story is. I'll look up. It's Marblineder. Besuda loy ochli kachli. In Suda they were machmir. They would not eat kachli, and pumbedisa ochli kachli. So you see, back then already there's a machlekes if you can eat chal, because the machlekes is farther than Ashkenazim. You can eat chal or not. So Gemara tells a fascinating story. Rami bar Tamri. There's a person called Rami, the son of Tamri. The who Rami bar Dekuli. Sometimes he's known by the name of Rami bar Dekuli. Pumbedis. Ikla lesuda, he once was in Suda. Now, remember that in Suda they don't eat chal, but he came from Pumbedisa where they do eat chal. It was Edim Kippur. Afkinu kuli alma lekachlin. Everybody's buying. You have to eat. You have to eat meat or whatever it is. Edim Kippur, it's a mitzvah. So there's a big mitzvah to eat. We had before the 4 times you have to announce to people, hey. We shechted one of the mother or the Issa's Benoy, because this is the time when everybody eats. And they discarded the cow because they had the whole animal, the good meat to eat. Why eat the cow? Shadinu, they took the cow and threw it away. He was so poor that he went to took the cow that people threw away, and that's what he ate. I saw the kamer chizah. They schlepped him for the chizah. I guess it was after Yom Kippur. I better think do Yom Kippur. And they said to Amaisa, he's a Rav and everything else, and look how he behaved. He ate chal. And in the city, nobody eats chal. So he brought him to the Rav. He said to him, how come you ate the chal? No, I come from Pumbedisa, Rabbi Yehuda, and over there we ate chal. Don't you know the Gemara, the halacha? We have talking about noistin all of chumrei hamakom sheyatza misham, the chumrei hamakom shehal sham. If you had a chumrah back home, or if you had a kula, but where you are now, because we don't want any arguments or anything else, you have to follow the local practice. So you shouldn't have eaten chal. I was outside the chumrah. The kid had no rachmanis. The guy had nothing to eat. Yom Kippur, all he can eat is what people throw out in the garbage, and he has a tiny. But anyway, vices from here that it's so important to follow the local minhagim that even if your mom is desperate and destitute, that's still not an excuse. Which is pretty amazing. How does a chizan know that? I know that this chumrah applies even in such a case. But then he continued. Since you're such a poor person, what did you get? How did you manage to cook and roast it? Where did you get firewood and everything else? I found over there, the skins of grapes, and I ate that. And I used that for firewood. So he said, maybe this was some, who it is, eating going, maybe some yayin nesach, and therefore you can't use that to cook your food. It was more than 12 months. It was dry, more than 12 months, and therefore we know that after 12 months it has no. It's a piece of wood. But even the God love it, maybe it was stolen. He's giving such a hard time. The guy is an old man. He picks a scrap of wood here, scrap of wood there. He picks up pieces of leftover meat, and it's as if a kid is saying to him, "You're a rav. It doesn't matter. You have to be very careful how you behave because people misinterpret what's happening here." I know for a fact that the owners abandoned it. They caught the tilted because there was grass growing on it. Nobody wants these little things with grass growing in it or whatever. So he didn't put on film. My time, why didn't you put on film? I'm sick, and we know that a lot of Amoraim at Tanaim had chaylemayim, like Rabbi Yehuda Nasi and other Baya, and they couldn't wait film the whole day because you're not allowed to film when you're sick. So not only was he so poor, he was a sick man. And then Then Chazi saw the Lahavikor Rami Chuti. He didn't have a talus. My time less Lachuti. Why don't you have a talus? I don't even own the talus. I can't afford it. Talus Shuli, I borrowed it. And Yehuda says that talus Shula, borrowed talus, Kol Shleishim, to them in the tzitzis. The first 30 days you are potter from tzitzis. You just get a picture here of who Rami Bar Tamari was, and Chizah doesn't let him alone. I think Chizah has to be the one to be asking, what do you want from the person there? You should offer to help him out instead of having kindness to him. You should offer to invite him to your Suda of your Kippur. If you see a person so poor. Anyway, in the meantime, Taisa explains, but there's a whole lot, Talu Shula, you're always putter from tzitzis because it says Ksuscha has to be yours. The only reason why after 30 days you have to put on tzitzis is because it looks like it's yours. People see you putting on the same talus for 30 days, it looks like it's yours. There's a discussion whether Stam Shaila, if I borrow from you without naming an amount or nominating amount of time, do we say from this Gemara here, someone to say Stam Shaila is 30 days? I don't nominate a like Halva, the Gemara Makkah's there. Stam Halva is 30 days, so Stam Shaila those are 30 days, or no such thing. It just happens to be that after 30 days, it looks like it's yours. Nothing to do with Stam Shaila being 30 days. And there's a diyun in the Rishonim, if you borrow a talus, whether you make a bracha or not. Because since you're not chayiv, in tzitzis really mahatay, don't even rabbanon, whether you make a bracha or you don't make a bracha. And they want to make it depend on whether the women's machlekes, women can make a bracha mitzvah and al chayiv, maybe the same thing here, or there's very different, because at least men have a chayiv and women therefore can, like the Litva says in Kedushin, and that's why women can make a bracha. So even say v'tzivanu because it's collective. You did tell people to do this mitzvah, even though you didn't tell me personally. You didn't say you told me. You say you told us. So therefore, the Ritva says in Ramban in Kedushin that they can make a bracha. Masheng over here, no one is chayiv in talashul. Doesn't matter who you are. So maybe you can't. On the other hand, here at least with the Rabbanon, you're chayiv to put on tzitzis, and over there a woman has no chayiv. So maybe you can't. So anyway, so lav dafki you can't mix the two. So the Gemara says further. So while Rami Batamri was standing there, they brought a person. He did not give kivud of aim. You hear this? You wouldn't want to live in the city. They schlep every person that doesn't behave right. They schlep him to the Rav. So this guy wasn't doing the kivud of aim like he's supposed to do kivud of aim. So they schlepped him to the Rav. And the kid obviously was a tough guy. Amalu, as I said, kafsu. They tied him up. They tied up this kid, whoever this was, and they were going to give him malchus, give him petch. But now listen to his parents. I guess this week's parsha ben Seder Murray. This is you got to discipline the kid. So the Gemara, Amalu, he said to them, Shavkum. And Rashi used over here the svar we had in Mark Suvis. When it comes to a lav, you give 39 lashes. When it comes to mitzvahs asay, literally, the asay is even worse than a license. A license is a limit. You bring doctors in, how much malchus can you get? And license is only after you committed the avera. By an asay is you didn't do the mitzvah. And the more they end up paying up, says what? And big machlek is the Tzassan and the Sivas in the beginning of Choshen Mishput is that chiv of koifen achet teitze nafshe a chiv on each individual, or is it a chiv on the bezin? No, there's one opinion that it's a chiv on each individual. And that's why the Rebbe's of Tzayim is bechesed rachmim. Because according to that, I can't remember, it's Tos on the Sibbers who said that I think it's Tos. It's on each individual, not a din on Bezin. And then if you see somebody who doesn't want to put on film, didn't bench Lulav and Esik, more example is Lulav, you didn't bench Lulav and Esik, you got to force him. Acha takes a nafshe, literally. Anyway, that's what we want to do over here, Kiv Rabbein. Amalahu, so Rama Batami said, Shavku, let him be. The time we learned, mitzvahs asay, matzchor betida, any mitzvah that the Torah writes you the reward right next to it, ain't better than matmas on love. David already said, the biggest punishment is, I said, Laman Yarich and Yamecha, right? By Kiv Rabbein. And Ma'itavlach. It's not going to happen. That's a punishment. We need Bezin to get involved. Famous question then, how, Taste of the Bobas is long over here, just a few lines. So how come at Tzedakah we see the mashkinin and Ravak force Abnos to give money? By Tzedakah it says also there's it says there that a big loud over said Abish is going to bench you and everything else. So how come you force by Tzedakah? And basically a few answers. One of the answers is that it was Kviyas Dvorim. Didn't pick. Here we're talking about Malchus. They were talking about cajoling. Really forcefully telling him off, but not doing anything more than that. Nothing physical. The other answer is by tzedakah. Actually, there's a lot, loisa amitz as well, and therefore you're entitled to give him. And then let's get to an answer there. Second one, right? Says I say you're really smart. So he said back to him, if you would have seen me in my hometown, whatever it is, then you really see what it means to be smart. I will show you how smart I am. So obviously he decided not to benefit from the kehillah or community, because if you're such a big Talmid Chacham, and this is the lowest of the low big ashra that you can be. I mean, you see what he thinks. He's eating thrown away things. Rabbi said, now we're going back to the thing before. Listen, I want you to go to Yisrael. When you go to Yisrael, I want you to ask the following question on my behalf. When you come to liver, mahu. When it comes to liver, I want you to ask them, what is the din? Are you allowed to cook liver or not? Now, what's the shaila? Liver is full of blood. It's full of blood. What's the shaila? We know that the din is that the blood, if you take a piece of meat and eat it raw, you're not able to eat of dam, because it has to be dam shapirish. Has to move around. But what's the shaila? Liver has a ton of blood. So Taisa explains. Because liver has a ton of blood, and the Torah is matter, maybe it's like hutra. Maybe this entire liver is mutter, and therefore you can eat it even if you cook it. You cook it without salting. We'll see the blood that comes out. Who cares? It goes back in. It's not a problem. Find out. Or it's still a problem of blood, and even though the Torah is matter to eat a liver, but you still have to treat it like another meat. Anyways, he said to Ashke, he found it Abzrika. So I'm talking about Abzrika. I know Shalkula Rabami. I used to cook it for Rabami, and he ate it. Yeah, I used to cook the liver for Rabami, and he ate it. He also he came back to Abaya. And he told Abai what he said. Abai said to him, I never asked you about the liver itself, because the blood itself, it came from the liver, which is mutter. Why should it be usher? And not only that, is a rule. I did the polit lebola. The liver is so busy exuding the blood, it won't absorb. My shiloh never was regarding the liver. My shiloh was regarding if you had other meat sitting in the pot while you were cooking the liver. Is the blood of the liver be'etzem usher? So therefore, it asks the other meat or not? Kicking by the mesa chavata to ask the other piece of meat. So the Gemara asks, "Ma'ishno l'chayda." So he asks him back. "Ma'ishno l'mesa nafshel." Why aren't you worried about itself? It's not below the Mishnah. Ain't in the says that why it says in the Mishnah clearly that it's not usher. Why? Because you haven't. So l'chayda l'mesa chavata nameloi tebaylach. The very same Mishnah says that it says that the original liver is not usher. It says the other meat is usher. It's not. We learn in the Mishnah hakaved oiseres. The liver, the blood that comes out of the liver, asks the other meat. But the ein neseres. It itself is not necessary. Why? If the blood itself was mutter, might have committed itself for other meat. Because the reason is he preleted the ein de belas. I did the polut like bola. The liver is so busy exuding so much blood to give out that it doesn't absorb any back. The liver itself is kosher. All the other meat is definitely trace. So what's the shaila? Malay, he said, my shaila is Dilma Hossam, they carved the disuda. Maybe that means talking about liver from a not kosher animal, umeshum shamnunis, and there the problem is not the blood, the problem is the fats. This is what what asses the rest of the meat in the pot. The Mishnah doesn't spell out what we're talking about here. Maybe it's the fat that's stuck onto the liver because there's fat around the liver, and that's the problem. My question is, if you have a kosher animal, kosher liver, and the problem is only the blood, and it itself is kosher because I bola, but what about the rest of the meat? So Kehada Salik, when I went back up, Ashkel Rabzika. He found Rabzika again. The Safra. Amalei, and he repeated to Rabzika the whole discussion. Amalei, Hainami Loitebach. That's also not a question. You know why it's not a question? Okay. The Anov the Yanai Braid Rab Ami Ikle Be Yehuda Breshim Pazi. That I and Yanai, the son of Rab Ami, once went to visit Rabbi Yehuda, the son of Shimon ben Pazi. They say that Pazi is a woman's name, and Rab Shimon is named after his mother. The Krevele, and he gave us Kanya, he gave us a trachea, Bikufia Va'achalna. Gave us the trachea together with all the parts attached to it. Now the trachea, the windpipe, goes down to the lungs and to the liver, and everything was attached. They had the lungs, you had the heart and the liver, and they're all cooked together. And he gave it to us to eat. So what is even here? The liver was cooked, and yet we were able to eat the lungs. We were able to eat everything else. So the other meat is kosher as well. That's what he came back. And we don't know if he ever came back to Abaye. He didn't come to Abaye, but later on, another generation later, Rav Ashi got involved. Mashka Rav Ashi asked, the Dilma, who you know the details of the story. Maybe maybe they had the opening of the trachea outside of the pot, so all the blood from the liver went out. The blood didn't touch the lungs, the blood didn't touch the other parts of the thing that were cooking in the pot. The blood all went outside of the pot. So therefore, that's why they were able to do what they did. Or inami mechlet havechol, or they boiled it first in water and vinegar, so they sealed the liver, and no blood really came out. And the blood inside the liver is not a problem, and anything came out. And not only that, nothing really came out. If you cook the liver on its own, all the blood that's there now became part of the liver, and that's it. Rabhuni used to use vinegar. He used to close it up, seal up the vinegar, and when you cook it later, no blood comes out. Nachman used to do it with hot water. The Sovereign Papa Kamei, Papa once was standing there. He said, he once said, okay, if you use the liver and you put it in vinegar so that the liver now congeals or closes up so no blood escapes, but the vinegar itself you shouldn't be able to use because a little bit of blood escaped and that little bit of blood entered the vinegar. So the vinegar at least is trafe because of blood. So he said back to him, the Rabbi said back to him, no. If you tell me a little blood came out into the vinegar, then even nami asir. If a little bit came out in the vinegar, then there's blood in the vinegar, then some of it eventually got absorbed back into the liver because you soften it up. When you cook it, you soften it up, eventually bring it back. And kehecha the polo, it's like it exuded, it brings it back in. So therefore, it's mutter. Come along to Bar Shava, Nachman, isolate kav the shalika. They brought him a liver that was cooked. Now, shlika is more than just bishul. Shlika is like heavily cooked, like stewed. And he didn't eat it. Actually, we'll stop over here, and we'll continue tomorrow, Mr. Shem. Talking about liver, what we do with liver. We'll talk more about tomorrow what we do with liver. Okay, have a good day.